One ordinary afternoon, the sky changed. Across every continent, people looked up to see massive shadows blotting out the sun. Gigantic ships, unlike anything humanity had ever imagined, hung suspended over major cities and remote countrysides alike. Sleek, dark, and ominous, these alien vessels radiated power, the kind that had toppled countless worlds across the galaxy. The Aractol had come, a species known not just for their military might, but for their ruthless efficiency. Their conquests were swift, brutal, and complete. Planets surrendered or were destroyed. Their reputation preceded them, and most expected Earth's fate to be no different. But on Earth, something unexpected happened. Instead of screams or chaos, there was a strange kind of calm. Governments scrambled to activate defenses, but civilians, farmers, students, office workers, simply kept moving with quiet determination. Somewhere, a child looked up at the alien shadows and shrugged, while in another city, a group of friends exchanged amused smirks. The Aractol broadcast a message in booming, metallic voices, demanding immediate surrender. Submit your planet. Resistance is futile. Comply or be eradicated. Their words echoed through every communication channel, translated into dozens of languages by their advanced tech. Instead of fear, there was laughter. Not mockery or disbelief, but a kind of bold confidence. Humans had heard such threats before, from rival nations, criminals, even natural disasters. And yet they survived. The idea of surrendering without a fight was foreign. "They don't understand us," a weathered veteran muttered in a bunker beneath the streets of New York. "They think we're just another planet to take. They've never faced a species like this." Meanwhile, across the globe, people began to prepare. Hackers gathered in basements, already probing the alien network for weaknesses. Farmers armed themselves with tractors and homemade tools, turning fields into makeshift battlegrounds. Teenagers with drones calibrated their devices for surveillance and attack. Old mechanics dusted off forgotten blueprints, searching for ways to turn scrap into weapons. The Aractol scouts, confident and heavily armed, landed in small groups to begin their occupation. They expected to find broken governments and terrified populations. Instead, they found neighborhoods barricaded with whatever materials were available, cars chained together, furniture piled high. They found people standing firm, watching quietly with fierce eyes. One scout unit entered a suburban street, only to be met by a man who had rigged an old generator to send out an electromagnetic pulse. A sudden blast disabled their communication devices and weapons for precious seconds, the blink of an eye, but enough to confuse the aliens. As the Aractol regrouped, a young woman in Tokyo hacked into their surveillance drones, using a modified gaming console. She redirected the drones into crowded marketplaces, confusing the aliens and creating chaos in their ranks. Across the Atlantic, a group of engineers in London intercepted alien signals and broadcast false coordinates, leading patrols on wild goose chases. The Aractol were stunned. They had conquered countless worlds, yet Earth resisted not through vast armies or powerful technology, but through sheer unpredictability and unyielding spirit. The first hours of the invasion became a storm of frustration for the invaders. They expected to command, but instead faced a planet united in its refusal to be conquered. And as night fell over the Earth, millions looked up at the stars and realized this fight had only just begun, and humanity was ready. The Aractol had underestimated one crucial thing about Earth: humanity's creativity in the face of danger. Their initial confidence gave way to confusion as they encountered resistance unlike anything in their conquest history. This was not a planet ruled by a single army or government, but a patchwork of millions of fighters, civilians, hackers, farmers, and kids, each finding their own way to fight back. In the sprawling cities, hackers became the invisible soldiers of the new war. In a cluttered apartment in San Francisco, a group of teenagers worked feverishly on laptops and phones. They hacked into the alien surveillance networks, turning the invaders' own eyes against them. Drones once used to scout were now scrambled and sent back to confuse alien patrols. Security systems in alien outposts flickered and failed, leaving their forces blind and vulnerable. On the ground, farmers and everyday workers turned tools meant for planting and building into weapons of resistance. In the Midwest, a mechanic named Joe cobbled together an electromagnetic pulse cannon from old car parts and scrap metal. It wasn't fancy, but it worked. With a single blast, Joe disabled a scouting vehicle, sending it crashing into a field. The video of that crash spread online like wildfire, inspiring others to create their own makeshift weapons. In rural villages and crowded urban neighborhoods alike, humans formed small resistance cells. Without formal command or hierarchy, these groups moved quickly and unpredictably. A baker in Paris organized a group to sabotage alien supply lines by flooding streets and disabling vehicles with improvised traps. A schoolteacher in Mumbai coordinated neighborhood watches armed with homemade slingshots and firebombs. For the Araktal, this chaotic resistance was maddening. Their scanners and algorithms were built to identify organized armies, to predict battlefield moves based on tactics learned from centuries of conquest. But humans fought with wild energy, using everything at their disposal, from hacked satellites to rusty tools. Each attack was unexpected, each defeat humiliating. One Araktal commander admitted in a private message, "They are not soldiers. They are storms, uncontrollable, unpredictable, and everywhere." Even children became part of the fight. In Siberia, a group of teenagers used toy drones outfitted with small explosives to disrupt alien communications towers. Their laughter and cheers echoed through their makeshift base, the cold winter forgotten in the thrill of defiance. As the hours turned to days, the resistance grew bolder. In South Africa, an underground network of engineers hacked alien vehicles, repurposing them to fight their former masters. Captured drones became scouts for human units, and disabled weapons were repaired and turned against the invaders. Humanity's strength was not in overwhelming firepower, but in resilience and imagination. Every corner of the planet became a battleground where ordinary people found extraordinary courage. And the Araktal, despite their vast technology and experience, faced a harsh truth: this was no easy conquest. The global media, still functioning despite chaos, broadcast images and stories of resistance around the world. A viral hashtag #EarthFightsBack, spread rapidly, uniting people across borders and cultures. Civilians in one country cheered on fighters in another, knowing their struggles were linked. At a command center deep within the Araktal mothership, commanders argued, how could such a primitive species create such sophisticated, widespread resistance? How could a planet with no central leadership coordinate so effectively? Their pride was wounded, their expectations shattered. Yet on Earth, the message was clear: humanity would not surrender quietly. They would fight, innovate, and endure. The invasion had ignited something powerful, something that would grow with every day and every battle. And for the first time since the arrival, the Araktal commanders realized this fight might not be won quickly, or at all. While the Araktal expected advanced armies with standard weapons, they faced something far more unpredictable. Millions of human hands turning scrap into deadly tools. What began as scattered acts of defiance soon grew into a full-blown movement of innovation and ingenuity that caught the invaders completely off guard. In a quiet town in Colorado, a small group of veterans and engineers gathered in a dusty garage. They were ordinary people, retired soldiers, mechanics, and hobbyists. But now, they had a mission. Armed with nothing more than scrap metal, old electronics, and sheer determination, they began building electromagnetic pulse, EMP cannons. The first model was crude, a bulky device cobbled together from car batteries, copper wiring, and metal sheets. But it worked. When tested against a scout drone, the EMP cannon sent it spiraling out of control before it crashed into a field. News of the success spread rapidly, shared through encrypted chats, and social media channels. Soon, garages across the globe became makeshift workshops. People took the blueprint and improved it, making smaller, more efficient EMP devices. From New York to New Delhi, from Johannesburg to Sydney, ordinary citizens turned basements and sheds into factories of resistance. The Erectile commanders scrambled to understand this new threat. Their ships, designed to withstand high-tech weapons, were vulnerable to these homemade EMP blasts. Patrols became more cautious, and supply lines that had seemed secure now required constant escort. In a rundown warehouse in London, a group of teenagers modified drones to carry tiny EMP grenades. They launched surprise attacks on alien supply convoys, disrupting operations and forcing the Erectile to divert forces just to protect their resources. Their success inspired others to use similar tactics, guerrilla warfare with a high-tech twist. Not all weapons were high-tech. In rural France, farmers used ancient farming tools repurposed as melee weapons, while in Brazil, mechanics converted tractors into armored fighting vehicles. Even school kids crafted catapults and slingshots, hurling makeshift projectiles at alien patrols. This wave of innovation wasn't limited to weapons. Engineers hacked into the Erectile's communication networks, intercepting messages and planting false commands that sent enemy squads into confusion. Medical professionals developed treatments to counter alien bioweapons, while logisticians coordinated supply routes that avoided detection. The unity among humans was unprecedented. Traditional rivalries dissolved in the face of a common enemy. Hackers collaborated with engineers who worked alongside farmers and former soldiers. Social media became a vital tool for sharing knowledge and strategies in real time. The Erectile realized too late that conquering Earth was unlike any other campaign. Their heavy armor and advanced weaponry were no match for the relentless tide of human creativity and stubbornness. Each defeat fueled the fire of resistance, and every lost patrol was a reminder. This planet would not bend easily. Meanwhile, civilians documented their efforts online. Videos of EMP cannons disabling alien ships, of crowds cheering on resistance fighters, and of children daring to stand against invaders went viral. These stories became legends, symbols of humanity's refusal to be broken. At the Erectile High Command, debates rage. Some argued for brutal retaliation, others for negotiation. But most agreed on one thing. Earth was no longer a prize waiting to be taken. It was a battlefield that tested every skill, every ounce of will, and every scrap of human resolve. And in garages and workshops around the world, the garage warriors kept building, improving, and fighting. For them, this was not just a war for survival. It was a war to prove that no matter the odds, humanity's spirit could never be silenced. The Erectile had conquered countless planets before, but Earth introduced them to a new and terrifying problem: chaos. Not the chaos of destruction, but the chaos of human resistance, unorganized, unpredictable, and unstoppable. The alien command systems were built for order. Vast hierarchies of control, strict chains of command, and precise coordination allowed them to dominate disciplined armies. But on Earth, there was no central authority to crush, no single leader to capture or defeat. Instead, the resistance was made up of millions of autonomous cells scattered across the globe. In Manila, Maria, a single mother with no military training hacked into the alien power grid. Using nothing more than a laptop and a background in electrical engineering, she triggered localized blackouts that disabled entire alien outposts. Her efforts slowed supply routes and forced Erectile patrols to move cautiously. Halfway across the world, in Estonia, a group of teenagers exploited the aliens' reliance on artificial intelligence. They created a simple video game mod that exploited a loophole in the alien eyes pattern recognition, tricking drones into crashing or chasing phantom targets. Laughter filled their safe house as they watched alien machines stumble and fail. In New York City, a former gang leader turned resistance fighter led an unlikely group of urban warriors. They used guerrilla tactics, blending into crowded streets and subway tunnels, striking quickly and disappearing before the Aractal could respond. Their intimate knowledge of the city gave them an edge no alien strategy could predict. This non-centralized warfare baffled the Aractal commanders. Every time they thought they'd crushed one resistance cell, 5 more would spring up in its place. Communication lines were constantly disrupted. Attempts to control the population with propaganda failed because humans shared information faster than the invaders could censor it. On a remote island in the Pacific, an old scientist who had once studied cybernetics built a device that emitted a low-frequency pulse. The pulse caused alien communication systems to glitch unpredictably, making coordination nearly impossible. It was a small device, but its effect rippled across battlefields thousands of miles away. Everywhere the Aractal looked, they found humans who refused to follow the rules of war. Children threw stones at armored vehicles. Shopkeepers set traps in alleyways. Farmers organized ambushes using knowledge of their own terrain. The aliens learned that Earth was a planet of surprises, and none of them could be predicted. For the Aractal soldiers on the ground, frustration turned to fear. Their advanced technology and tactics, which had guaranteed victory for centuries, were failing against an enemy that adapted and changed with every encounter. The human spirit was their greatest weapon, and it was impossible to destroy. Amid this chaos, stories of human ingenuity and courage spread rapidly. A medic in Brazil saved dozens of wounded fighters using improvised treatments. A group of schoolchildren in Tokyo hacked alien drones to send messages of hope. Every small victory was a spark that ignited new flames of resistance. At the heart of the alien fleet, the High Command grappled with the impossible. Their traditional strategies no longer worked. They faced a species that did not fight like any they had seen. Humans did not rely on hierarchy or discipline, but on creativity, passion, and chaos. And so, as the Earth's defenders grew stronger and more unpredictable, the Aractal realized a harsh truth. This was not a war they could win with brute force alone. They would have to rethink everything. But by then, it might already be too late. The Aractal had come to Earth confident, expecting quick submission and a smooth conquest. Instead, they found a planet united in its refusal to yield. But the tide truly began to turn when humans did something the aliens hadn't anticipated: a full-scale counterstrike through the invaders' own communication network. Deep in a makeshift command center beneath the ruins of a former university in Berlin, a team of elite hackers prepared their most daring operation yet. Led by Lena, a cyber warfare expert with a knack for turning enemy systems against themselves, they worked tirelessly to breach the alien broadcast frequencies. The plan was risky. If caught, they faced certain death. But the stakes were clear. Humanity needed to show the galaxy that Earth was no easy target. The hackers breached the Aractal's encrypted signals and hijacked the communication network, taking control of their internal broadcasts. Then came the message. Not just a warning, but a declaration, a digital roar that echoed across the stars. It spread through the alien channels in dozens of languages simultaneously, each word ringing with defiance. Earth is closed. We bite. The message ignited chaos in the alien fleet. Ships scrambled to locate the source, only to find themselves ambushed by human forces using information leaked from the hacked broadcasts. Morale plummeted. Whispers of doubt spread among the Aractal troops. What had seemed like an easy victory now felt like a nightmare. Back on Earth, the message became a viral sensation. Screens across the planet showed the defiant statement, accompanied by footage of resistance fighters taking down alien machines, communities rebuilding, and people standing strong. It united humanity in a way never before seen. #EarthBites trended worldwide, a rallying cry for all. As the alien commanders struggled to regain control, human resistance cells launched coordinated strikes based on the hacked intel. Supply lines were cut, communication hubs destroyed, and alien patrols found themselves trapped in ambushes. Each success fueled a growing confidence. The Aractal's rigid command structure began to crumble under the pressure. Frustrated commanders ordered harsher tactics, hoping to intimidate the population into submission. But this only hardened human resolve. Civilians fought back harder, inspired by the knowledge that their efforts were turning the tide. In the midst of this chaos, a young engineer in Sydney repurposed a captured alien drone into a flying propaganda platform. It broadcasted messages of hope and unity over cities, encouraging people to resist and adapt. The alien technology meant to control was now a tool for rebellion. Even alien soldiers began to question their mission. Many had never faced such fierce, disorganized resistance. Their confidence was shaken. Rumors of entire squads abandoning their posts or defecting circulated among the ranks. The Aractal were losing more than battles. They were losing faith. At a summit deep in the Aractal flagship, commanders debated their next move. Some pushed for total annihilation of Earth's major cities, while others warned this would only strengthen human resistance. The fleet was at a crossroads. Meanwhile, humanity's victories inspired distant alien species observing the conflict. Whispers of Earth's defiance spread throughout the galaxy, transforming the planet from a target to a symbol. Some empires began reconsidering their own plans, wary of facing such relentless opposition. As Earth's defenders grew stronger and more united, the Aractal realized that invading Earth had been a grave mistake. The planet was no longer just a battleground. It was a beacon of hope, defiance, and unexpected strength. And as the message "Earth is closed, we bite" echoed through the stars, the galaxy began to understand. Humanity was a force that could not be ignored. As the Aractal fleet struggled to maintain control, humanity discovered its greatest strength: unity. Not the kind forged in grand halls or military headquarters, but a spontaneous, unbreakable bond formed from the most unlikely places, former rivals, strangers, and enemies coming together with a single purpose. In the heart of Detroit, a city long scarred by division, rival gangs laid down their weapons and joined forces with local firefighters and engineers. Together, they built barricades and coordinated ambushes, sharing knowledge and resources that none had dared to trust before. "We fought each other for years," one gang leader said, "but we'd rather fight for each other now." Across the world, scientists, teachers, and blue-collar workers shared information over secure networks, bypassing damaged infrastructure to coordinate strategies and innovations. From underground labs in Berlin to makeshift workshops in Rio de Janeiro, people pooled their skills to improve weapons, develop new tactics, and treat the wounded. In a remote village in Siberia, a group of hunters and former soldiers set aside old grudges and formed a resistance cell that became a key part of a global network. Their knowledge of the harsh wilderness and survival tactics helped them outmaneuver alien patrols, providing critical intelligence that saved thousands of lives. Even among the youngest, solidarity flourished. Children from different continents communicated through hacked alien drones, sharing stories, encouragement, and plans. These networks helped spread hope and resilience, proving that resistance was more than just weapons. It was a movement of the heart. This unity made humanity's resistance unpredictable and effective. The Aractal had trained for warfare against disciplined armies, but Earth's defenders fought with a patchwork of tactics and ever-shifting alliances. Every time the invaders thought they had found a weakness, humans adapted, improvised, and struck back harder. Meanwhile, governments and former enemies in the international community overcame political differences to form a coalition dedicated to defending the planet. Military leaders who had once been rivals now shared intelligence and coordinated strikes. Diplomats worked tirelessly to maintain fragile alliances and secure resources. In Paris, a former rival of the resistance movement's leader stepped forward with crucial technology stolen from alien ships. The gesture symbolized a turning point. Trust was growing stronger than fear, and the planet's defenders were becoming an unstoppable force. Stories of unity and courage spread rapidly, broadcast across the globe and beyond. People who had once felt powerless found strength in the knowledge that they were part of something bigger. Social media, once dismissed by the Aractal, as insignificant, became a powerful tool to inspire and organize. The Aractal commanders, watching from their command ships, realized that the planet's true power lay not in weapons or technology, but in its people. This unity was the kind of force that no invasion could break, the kind that turned ordinary individuals into heroes. And yet, the Aractal refused to surrender. They escalated their attacks, targeting cities and infrastructure with brutal precision. But even as buildings fell and lives were lost, the human spirit refused to be crushed. Instead, it burned brighter, fueled by grief, determination, and hope. The more the Aractal attacked, the more the planet came together. Every loss became a rallying cry. Every act of destruction only strengthened humanity's resolve to protect their home. United from the unlikeliest places, Earth's defenders proved that even in the darkest times, people could find common ground and fight as one. And in that unity, they found their greatest weapon against the invaders. The Aractal had expected an easy victory. Instead, they found themselves locked in a battle they could neither control nor predict. But the true turning point came not from weapons or technology, but from an unlikely breakthrough. A moment when human ingenuity met alien technology in a way that changed everything. Deep beneath the ruins of a former research facility in Tokyo, a team of scientists and engineers worked tirelessly on a daring plan. Led by Dr. Aya Kimura, a brilliant physicist who had studied alien energy signatures since the invasion began, they had discovered a critical weakness in the Aractal's power core technology. The core relied on a delicate balance of energy fields, powerful but unstable if disrupted. The team theorized that a precisely timed electromagnetic pulse could trigger a cascading failure, disabling the alien ships without destroying them outright. This would not only protect human lives, but also capture valuable technology for study. To test the theory, they needed to get close, dangerously close, to an Aractal mothership. A volunteer strike team, consisting of resistance fighters, hackers, and engineers, was assembled. Among them was Jake, a former soldier with a knack for piloting stolen alien craft, and Maya, a young hacker who had become a legend for her ability to control enemy drones. The mission was simple in theory: infiltrate the ship, deploy the pulse device, and get out before the core went critical. In practice, it was a near-suicide run. But for these volunteers, it was the chance to change the course of the war. Under the cover of darkness, the team launched a daring assault. Using hacked alien ships, they slipped through patrols and security grids, navigating the labyrinthine corridors of the mothership. Every step was a test of nerves and skill, with alien guards lurking around every corner. Finally, at the heart of the ship, they reached the power core chamber. Jake placed the device while Maya hacked the control systems, synchronizing the pulse with the ship's energy fluctuations. With seconds to spare, they escaped through maintenance tunnels, pursued by alarmed Aractal soldiers. The pulse detonated, and a wave of electromagnetic energy surged through the ship. Systems failed, weapons went dark, and the mighty mothership shuddered as its core destabilized. Nearby Aractal vessels were forced to retreat, fearing a chain reaction. The victory sent shockwaves through the invasion force. One of their most powerful ships was crippled without a single human casualty, a symbolic and strategic triumph. Morale soared among the resistance, who saw proof that the Aractal could be beaten. Earth's defenders rallied behind the success. The scientists refined the pulse device, and resistance cells across the globe coordinated attacks to target other motherships. Hackers intercepted alien communications with increasing precision, while ground forces disrupted supply lines and outposts. The Aractal High Command grew desperate. Their arrogance shattered, they began to pull back troops from key battle zones to defend their crippled vessels. The invasion, once overwhelming, slowed to a grinding halt. In cities worldwide, celebrations erupted, streets filled with cheers and songs of defiance. For the first time since the invasion, humanity tasted victory, but everyone knew the war was far from over. Dr. Kimura addressed the world through hacked broadcasts, her voice steady but resolute. This is proof that we can win, not just survive. Together, we will push the invaders back, reclaim our planet, and show the galaxy what it means to fight for home. And so, with renewed hope and hardened resolve, Earth's defenders prepared for the battles ahead. The turning point was here. The tide was changing. And humanity was ready. After months of relentless fighting, Earth stood on the brink of victory. The Erectal invasion, once an overwhelming force of destruction, was now fractured and retreating. The tide had turned, and humanity's stubborn defiance had reshaped the course of history. The crippling of the mothership in Tokyo was just the beginning. Inspired by the success of Dr. Kimura's team, resistance groups launched coordinated strikes across the globe. Hacked alien ships fell from the skies, supply lines were severed, and alien forces found themselves trapped in their own territories. The Erectal, once confident conquerors, were forced into a desperate withdrawal. Their technology still formidable, but their morale shattered. They abandoned key strongholds, leaving behind equipment and prisoners. Rumors spread of alien commanders debating surrender or retreat, their pride bruised beyond repair. Humanity's victory was not without cost. Cities bore the scars of war, millions had been displaced, and countless lives were lost. But from the rubble rose something new, a spirit of unity and determination that would shape the planet's future. In New York, at the rebuilt United Nations headquarters, leaders from every corner of the globe gathered. The war had erased borders and old rivalries, replacing them with a shared vision: protect Earth and prepare for whatever the galaxy might bring next. Dr. Kimura, hailed as a hero, spoke to the assembly. We faced an enemy unlike any before, but we learned that no technology is stronger than the will to survive and the courage to fight together. This victory belongs to every person who dared to resist. Beyond politics, humanity's triumph sparked a new era of scientific collaboration. Captured Erectal technology became a key to advances in energy, medicine, and space travel. Human and alien minds worked side by side, slowly building bridges where once there was only conflict. Children born during the invasion grew up with stories of bravery and hope. Schools taught the history of the resistance, inspiring generations to come. The scars of war remained, but they were reminders of a planet that refused to fall. Yet, the galaxy was watching. Other civilizations had observed Earth's fight, and the message was clear. Humanity was not to be underestimated. Earth was no longer just a blue dot in the cosmos. It was a beacon of resilience and strength. Some Erectal factions, humbled by defeat, sought peace. Diplomatic channels opened, tentative at first, but promising. Earth's defenders, wary but hopeful, prepared to negotiate a future where coexistence might be possible. And for humanity, the invasion was a catalyst, a brutal awakening that revealed both vulnerability and incredible potential. From the chaos rose unity, from fear sprang courage, and from defeat blossomed victory. The Earth had been invaded, it had been tested, and it had answered with a roar. They invaded Earth and immediately regretted it, because humanity would never be broken. And this was only the beginning.